Hello, everyone. Nice to see so many familiar old faces. A big AccuKnox welcome to a lot of the new faces. And no matter where you're joining us from, I hope like daylight savings has been giving you as much trouble as it has been giving us. But welcome to yet another live stream. We have a great session for us today. I know I say this ahead of every stream, but this one is definitely special. I've always assumed that CI/CD is something of a fortress and nothing can go wrong. And who would bother attacking CI/CD pipelines of all things? And I just lived, I guess, in a fairy tale world until recently when so many of these software supply chain attacks started to crop up and the CI/CD fortress was sort of breached in my mind. And so it's very important to me and to you that you learn about how best to secure CI/CD by fundamentally understanding what all can go wrong with CI/CD, and how it can be attacked and compromised in your organization or whatever you use and things like that. I think there's like a huge variety of attacks. And to take us through all of this, we have Udit Uniyal joining us. Hi, Udit.
Hello, Ram.
Do you want to take a quick minute to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Udit, and I have been working here at AccuKnox from the past 2.5 years as a cybersecurity engineer. So I will be giving you the introduction about the DevOps, how the DevSecOps pipeline can be built, and how you can secure the applications and all in this webinar. So uh,
So
let's
when
let's.
I was chatting to Udit
Mhm.
and a few of his colleagues a little ahead of this stream, what I've come to learn is Udit is an amazing offensive hacker. And Udit, if you need my Wi-Fi password, just ask. Please, no funny business. I've heard that you have a skill that I wish I possessed, which is cracking passwords and networks and things like that. Hopefully, you're putting it to good use. Is AccuKnox the first place you worked? What did you do before AccuKnox?
Yes, so I was working as a security engineer in like RTDS, and then I have been working at the Physics Walla previously as a senior associate security engineer. Like most of my day-to-day activities goes into the security testing and the defensive side as well as the offensive side. So it's kind of a mixture of both.
Nice. I'm sure you have like tons and tons to talk to us about, and I'm sure a lot of people who are here will have a lot of questions as well. So I'm very excited to hear from you. Those who are watching, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll get to those whenever they're relevant. We'll bring them up as the show goes on. It makes it much more of an interactive and a conversational flow if you're able to throw in some questions and things like that. Also, quick note, there's a few QR codes here and there that will come up. Do us a favor, scan them to learn more and get more information about AccuKnox, some of the projects that are open source, and also some of the product demos and things like that. Udit, I'll shut up now, let you talk. Floor is all yours.
Yes, absolutely. So I will give you the understanding about the DevOps, how the DevOps works, and can you go back into the previous slide? I guess yes, this one. Yes. So basically, how the things works in terms of the DevOps is that the developer will be creating something new feature, and then the operation teams will work on that to release the things and streamline the process of the software delivery, and then the DevOps pipeline comes into the play to make it in the automation way, and it will make the streamlined process to the software delivery or the releases of the software. So how it works is that, let's say there is a developer, so developer is creating something new feature or working on the previous bugs which were there in the staging environment. Let's say he committed something into the source code management. Source code management can be GitHub, can be GitLab, and once it will be committed, then the pipeline will get started, and then the build process will happen, in which the project will be built, and there will be some artifact which is containers and all, and then the testing will happen, and in the last the release will happen, and then the monitoring will start. And in this process the security is not infused, and hence the security testing will be done in the end cycle, and the source code reviews and the dynamic application testing will be tested at the end of all these. So what is happening here is that, let's say there is some bugs which will be detected in the source code itself, then the everything will be needs to be done from the start. Then again the developer will fix one vulnerability or two vulnerabilities, then the process will be very lengthy, and it will take approx 6 or 7 months to create one feature, and it's like a very lengthy process to do. And since we are not infusing the security in between the pipeline, in between every stage, hence the security gaps will always be there. So from after this, can you move into the second slide? Yes, this one. So after this, the new terminology comes into the play, which is DevSecOps, in which the developers, operations, and the security will be there. And as we discussed earlier, that the SCM, then build, the test, and release. Now we have infused or we have utilized the tools in the pipelines stages itself. And now let's say the developer is writing something, and let's say there will be the pre-commit, and they are utilizing the talisman, which is a tool which in which if developer is trying to commit something and it is having the secrets, then it will not get committed. So we are shifting left the security in the DevOps lifecycle itself, and the tools will be incorporated in the forward direction. Now if the developer is trying to change something in the code base itself, the pipeline will get triggered, the multiple tools will start running, and if there will be the findings related to the code or related to the packages which the developer used in their code base itself, and if there will be any secrets, the pipeline will get failed, and the developer will directly start working on those findings which we get from the SAST or SCA or secret scanning or the IC scanning. Now once they will pass these stages, that okay, the code is now completely secure, now it comes into the build stage, then the image scanning will happen, and the software bill of materials will be generated, and the software composition analysis will happen. So like as you already know that the log4j, which is the vulnerable library in the Java, and there are what happened in that time is that multiple peoples are utilizing that particular vulnerable package of Java, and they don't know that okay, where I have been used that particular library which is vulnerable. For that the software bills of material is like necessary, so they can directly go through that bill of materials, and they can find out that okay, this package has I have used and this is vulnerable, so I can directly go back into the code base and directly update that particular package, or I can directly remove that if it is vulnerable and not fixed. Then in the test phase, the dynamic application security testing, which will be tested out. So once the image has been built, and then you can run this, and once it will be in the running stage, then you can implement the test, which will find out the vulnerabilities in the runtime. So once the application is running, the application will be tested dynamically overall, and the findings will be there, which you can go through, that okay, these are the headers which have been used, the CSP headers is missing, or the CORS header is not configured properly, or the SOP header is not configured properly. All these kind of things which will be tested in the test part only. Then after the test, the application will be released in the staging environment, and there is a need of the registry scanning. So you have to schedule the image scanning which are there in your registries, so that you will be able to find out if there are any new vulnerabilities will be there, then you can fix that by the code base in the image itself and others. So once the application in the runtime or in the then the monitoring phase and the response and detection phase comes into the play. So kubearmor is something or which help in the runtime security. So once the application is there, it is in the running phase, the containers are completely deployed, then you want that, okay, if someone else, some attacker is inside and try to attack something, try to access something in the container, you need something. So for that, kubearmor will be there at the runtime protection of the VM or the containers or the Kubernetes clusters you will be having. So all of this.
Just to interject before you move further, a lot of people know some of these things, but
Mhm.
none of them seem to apply any of these learnings in practice. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, so
Completely
that's
agree. Yes.
that's what I find most difficult in this whole thing. I mean, a lot of these things are quite easy, very basic. There's automated tools for almost everything that you can think of, but there's so few people that use it even though they're aware of it. And um, that just surprises me a lot. And I'm glad I'm not the only pessimist in the community. But sorry for interjecting. Go on.
Yes, yes, correct, correct. And I would like to also include that why people are not utilizing this is because it's very hectic to maintain all these by yourself. If you are utilizing the multiple tools incorporated in your pipelines, then the findings itself is very hectic to understand and go through each of the findings from each of the tools. So it is kind of hectic. So how it can be easy for you, can you go into the next slide? I will give the answer in the next slide itself. Yes. So to manage all the findings from every tool, let's say SAST, SCA, secret scanning, then the image scan, all of these you can manage from the AccuKnox itself. So let's say there are the multiple findings. There will be hundreds of findings in the SAST, SCA, thousands of findings you will get. And if you will be having the single management tool like AccuKnox, you can do the risk prioritization, which vulnerabilities needs to be fixed first, and what things needs to be uh, fixed first in terms of the tools itself, SAST, SCA, secret scanning. What are the critical vulnerabilities needs to be fixed? If something is critical, like it is having the OWASP top 10 category, it comes under the OWASP top 10 category or the CWE 25 category, then you will be doing that particular findings to get resolved. So this is something, for this you need the vulnerability management tool in which the AccuKnox comes into the play. And the findings from all these will be there in the AccuKnox. Finding from the monitoring itself, the which you will be monitoring once your application is released and it is in the runtime. So you can monitor your applications, your containers, Kubernetes environment, or the virtual machines at the runtime itself, and you'll be having all the things incorporated in the AccuKnox. Yes. Can you
So
go?
somebody
Yes.
has a question, sorry
Mhm.
Udit, which I think is pertinent. So there's two kinds of image scans that we're pointing out. There's the build time and the release time. Somebody
Yes.
has a question about why we are duplicating efforts there, and shouldn't there be
Yes.
just one?
Yes.
You want to
Absolutely.
clarify quickly?
Yes, yes. So it's not about the duplicating the things exactly. So if you look at the software composition analysis also comes like multiple times in the SCM as well as in the build. Why we are doing this is that if you look at the source code in SCA, you will be getting the findings which are not transitive. But in the SCA in the build stage, you will be able to find out the findings which are transitive. So these are the two things. The image scanning part is something, let's say something is failed in the image scan itself, some findings will be there, you will try to resolve that particular finding in that particular image. The packages will be there, vulnerable packages will be there in the build stage, and then you try to resolve that, then it comes into the test, and then it will get released. So registry scanning needs to be scheduled because in the end, because the packages, the findings, the new CVs, like it's always someone is trying to create new CVs related to particular packages, new findings will be there. So it's always necessary to utilize the image scan in the build stage itself, as well as scheduled image scan or scheduled registry scan in the release stage. So that's the one particular reason behind it.
Got it. Yeah,
Yes.
let's move on.
I guess we can move into the second. Yes. Next slide. Okay, this one. Yes. So no, no. Can you go back into the previous slide? Yes, correct. So let's say now you are having some ticketing tools in place and you are having the Zira or the ConnectWise or any other ticketing tool. The findings which will be there in the AccuKnox from the tools which are there in the pipeline itself. Now you want the findings to be there in your ticketing tool as well, so that you can assign it to the developers, particular developer, that okay, these are the critical ones, I want to assign these particular findings, set of findings, to this particular developer and this particular developers. For that, you want the findings to be there as a ticket in your ticketing system. So AccuKnox having the capability of the bidirectional connection with the ticketing tools like Zira and ConnectWise, you'll be able to see the findings in the AccuKnox as well as the Jira dashboard. You can, if you change something in the Jira dashboard, like you change the finding from ongoing to done, then it will get reflected back to the AccuKnox as well. And for the monitoring, like your containers and the Kubernetes clusters are in the running phase, and if someone try to attack them, there is the policy which has been applied, which is to block the package managers like the apt, DNF and others. And if some attacker try to access that particular password file, or try to run something from like apt get install something, some package, malicious package, then they will directly get blocked, and the alert will be sent to your sim tool, as well as the notification you will get in the Slack, or as a email notification you will get. So this is something that. And the another thing is that l- your pipeline is running. So all the things, all the tools which I have mentioned here is running inside the VM. It can be the GitHub runner, or the self-hosted runner, like in Jenkins, everything is running in the VM. So you want to monitor each and everything which is running in that particular VM in which the pipeline is running, the stages are running. So for that, kubearmor can be installed. Kubearmor can be installed, and it can monitor each and everything from network to everything. And you can also apply your particular policies at the runtime. So it's basically to secure your pipeline when it is in the running phase.
Lovely. Is it possible at all to see any of this in action? Is there like a
Yes, yes,
demo
absolutely.
or a sample? Do you think we can switch to that?
Yes, absolutely. Let me share my screen.
Because the proof is in the pudding, right? That's what they always say. And it's always very interesting to learn about what a tool can do. But if we see it, it's a lot more convincing, obviously. But it also throws up a lot of different use cases that
Yes, yes.
um,
Is my screen visible?
it is. Go on, please.
Okay, okay. So it is one of the project.
Okay.
So the DevSecOps is the mindset, how you can infuse the security tools in between the pipeline and how you will build that. It's basically start with the mindset. So the first thing which you have to do is that first you have to understand the project which has been built by the developer, go through the readme files, and the container will be built. Then you will start creating the workflows. Workflow is basically the pipelines which will get triggered during the commit, or during the any PR if raised, then that will get triggered and it will get run. So this is the project, and this is the pipeline. As you can see, there are the tools which have been used here. As you can see, SAST. So this is the SAST plugin which AccuKnox created. This is the secret scan plugin which AccuKnox created, and there can be the container scan plugin. You can go into the Azure marketplace or the GitHub marketplace and search for the AccuKnox. You'll be able to find out the plugins which we have built. So as you can see, the
So
pipeline. Yes.
just to take a step back. In this particular case, we're talking about using GitHub as the SCM and GitHub Actions as the CI/CD pipeline
Yes. Yes. Correct.
overall. And
Correct.
within
Correct.
that, you're utilizing these workflows for triggering a certain kind of check on every commit or whatever
Yes.
cadence.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
each of those checks in turn have these plugins that are authored to
Hmm.
integrate with AccuKnox
Yes.
and
Correct. Correct.
send data there and trigger some
Yes.
other checks and so on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Great. Go
Exactly.
on, please.
So as you can see that it will get triggered on the push event to the main branch. We can ignore the deployment file, because every time the deployment will happen, the image will get changed, and you don't want to
Sure.
rerun the pipeline again and again and again,
Sure, sure, sure.
and it will be in the loop. So the tools are incorporated here, and once I will trigger this pipeline, let's say, okay, my Argo CD is already running. As you can see, it is running in the port 9000, so I can be able to see that. Okay, this is the Argo CD. So if there will be any change in the image after passing all the security checks, the deployment will happen by the Argo CD. So as you can see here in the GitHub Actions, let me trigger something. Let me change something in here. Let's go to the SRC folder components. Let's change something from here. Okay, let's change it to Ritik, and let's do a commit. Git commit is updated. Git push. So as I have okay, fetch. Okay, branch has been deployed. Okay, so as you can see here, the pipeline. This is the pipeline which already, and as you can see, I have the unit test which have been configured in the pipeline itself. And once the unit test will get passed, the static application security testing will get passed, the AccuKnox security scan passed. After all these, if any of these will get failed, then it will not go into the build stage. So if this is failed, the developer will be going through each of the things again and again until the security checks will get passed. After the checks will get passed, the build stage will happen. And after the build stage will happen, in the build stage itself, you will be having what we can say is the container scan will be there in this particular stage, in the build stage, because the build is something that the image is built. Now you have to do the image scanning. Once docker once the image is built and pushed, the IC security scan is necessary, so that the deployment are secured from the misconfigurations which are there. And once it will you will be having the misconfigurations resolved, then the deployment will be updated, in which you can see that okay, the things which the developers were working are now getting deployed in the stage environment. Then you can also utilize the DAST and other things. Now if we go into the AccuKnox, the findings from each stages comes into the AccuKnox platform. Now, as you can see here, there are the multiple tools which I can see the findings for. Let's say I am interested in, okay, let's say I'm interested in the IAC findings. Then I can choose the IAC findings. I can go through each of the findings. And if I want to create the tickets for all of these, I can create the tickets directly from here, and it will get reflected in your ticketing dashboard, whether it will be Zira dashboard or the Manage Engine and the others. So you can also go through the ticket summary which you have created. So as you can see, there are 86,000 tickets which is created. 86,000 are done ongoing, and you can have the visibility of all the tickets which have been created. Let me change something from, so if I go into the source, let me change something from here and try to trigger it again. Okay, let me change it from Udit.
Make it
Pratik.
Ram, it'll work. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I think, yeah, correct. Let's make it Ram, as you said. So now I have pushed the changes into the main. The pipeline will get triggered. So currently, if I run the application, so let's say the current application is PU. Okay, we can run. Let's run this. Input 3700. Now it is listening. And we can search for the local host 3700. So it is currently Udit. And let's see if the actions are running. Yes, it is running. So after all the checks will be passed, then it will showcase this as the RAM.
Mm-hmm.
But if I change something in the workflow file, let's say I don't want to pass whenever there will be any findings in terms of the misconfigurations will be there in the Kubernetes file itself, then what I can do is that I can change the soft field to false, and I can commit the changes. Now there will be the pipeline which will get triggered. Now you will notice that it will get failed in this, and the
Yeah.
deployment will not happen.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
let's wait for it. So as you can see that it's very easy for user to understand each and every finding from the different tools which are coming in the AccuKnox dashboard. They will be having the simplified view, like the IC findings, and then they will be having the multiple filters which they can utilize. Let's say I want to focus on the critical findings, then I can more focus on the critical findings. Okay, there are not any critical findings. Let's apply the high findings. Yes, and also I have the capability to group by the findings, like the group by, let's say, the risk factor. So as you can see, there are the high findings of 159. Okay, the label which I have used is DevSecOps. Let's apply this. Okay, so in this particular project, in terms of the IAC findings, I have the findings, two high findings, 12 low findings. I have the medium findings too. So I can focus more on the high findings, then I resolve these. and doing it one by one. I can create the tickets directly from here, which you can assign it to the particular developer. So that's how it works. Let's check it. Look at the pipeline. Okay, it is currently running. Yes, as you can see here, it comes into the build stage.
So this is the basic principle though, right? And it'll work irrespective of which CI/CD system you use. So I'm
Yes,
assuming there's like ways to make this work with Jenkins, ways to make this work with
yes, correct, correct,
Circle, and irrespective of which system you use, AccuKnox is going to be able to integrate with that, get the
correct.
data. And on the ticketing side, again, irrespective of which system you use, Jira or what have you, it'll
Yes, yes, correct.
integrate with that and correlate all of that information.
Yes, correct, correct. So there are the multiple plugins which we have created for
Hmm.
the, like GitHub. You can go and search for the plugins by the name AccuKnox. Then you can go and search in the Azure marketplace. If you are having the Jenkins pipeline, we have the plugins available there. So it will be the plug and play system we have created. So we have covered the GitLab templates as well. The deployment is getting failed. Sing again, okay.
Just a reminder to those who are watching, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Now is probably a good time to take a few questions as we wait for the bill to go through. Um,
Yes. So as you
yeah, so
can
I
see,
see.
the
Yeah.
it is failed and the findings will be reported to the AccuKnox.
Okay.
And they can go through the findings and resolve that until it will get failed until the findings will be resolved fully. So once they will get resolved and there will be no findings, that they can reach into the update Kubernetes deployment part, and then the deployment will happen. Yes, I think that's all about the use case. I guess we can go forward with the slide. Me
I think that was very interesting. It was very comprehensive, in my opinion. And I think developers will find a prioritized list of issues on stuff that they just built very useful as they continue to build more and do more.
Yes, yes. And one more thing is that there are the multiple tools in the market. If you look for the SAST, test, and there are the multiple tools in the market. And I would suggest that go through each tool which are there in the market and try out that particular tool in your ecosystem. Let's say you are having the Python code base and you are utilizing the Python mostly, then I would say that the Bandit is something which you can utilize for the SAST. And the different tools have the different findings output as well. So always try to use each tool and then use that particular tool which you find more valuable according to your ecosystem or the architecture or the code base.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And this is the integration page of the AccuKnox, which these are the plugins which we have the pipelines in the pipelines. So GitHub Actions, GitLab, we have the templates, and all these pipelines we have the plugins available. So can you go into the next slide? Can you go into the next slide? Okay. And you can search in the Azure Marketplace or in the GitHub Marketplace, search for the AccuKnox. You will be able to find out the plugins which we have. So as you can see here, these are the plugins which we have: SAST, IC, DAST, and Container Scan and the Security Scan.
Nice.
Yes.
Cool. I think that was a good demo. A lot of understanding about what can go wrong, but also first steps towards remediation and how best to tackle some of these issues and how to basically position your team for tackling these issues and for tackling these problems. There's somebody who has a question.
Mhm.
While seeing the GitHub Actions file, it is so big. How do beginners get started with AccuKnox? So I think as a developer, you shouldn't worry about this. But I think also as a good DevSecOps person, eventually all GitHub Actions files will become big because you want a comprehensive test. But I'll let you answer that, Udit.
Yes, yes. So as a beginner, I would suggest you to understand the projects which are there openly available. Understand the project, try to containerize the application as per the code base, and then start implementing the things slowly, one by one. Let's say you create a small pipeline having the SAST, then you
Hmm.
understand that well. Then you can go into the next thing like the security scanning, and then by following the each step one by one, you will be able to understand the long pipeline files and how you can utilize that. So it's just get it started basically with the small steps.
Cool. Hopefully that answered your question, Achanandi M. But yeah, I think this was a lovely episode. Sorry about going a few minutes over, but the demo was running so well. I didn't want to interrupt, and I also wanted people to get the whole feel of what we're doing here. So that was great, Udit. I think you've shown us, what's really possible with AccuKnox, but also like what are some steps that people can take in order to get there and make the most of it. So thanks so much for that. And we have many more such episodes coming up. Next week, we have a very special episode. So there's AI, and we're going to discuss what we can do to secure AI and what are some of the tools that the AccuKnox table has that can help us in securing a lot of the AI stuff. There's this tool called Model Armor. Kind of sounds like Cube Armor meets AI models, which is what it is, I guess. But we'll wait for a week to find out. So join us next week. Next week, if you're still around. Thank you so much, Udit. This was very informative. I think a lot of people might have follow up questions. So, do follow the AccuKnox socials and watch out for future episodes and announcements. Thanks so much. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you. Thank you.